Probate process start to finish. Welcome to my page. My name is Wanda Rochelle. I am a licensed realtor serving Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. And today we are talking about the probate process from start to finish. If you follow me, this is a series that's on my page because there's so much information regarding the probate process. But today we are talking about it from a standpoint for the probate clerk. And I have a special guest here with me today. My guest is ｃě. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Wanda. It's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Sonia again. And yes, I'm experienced in this topic very well. So I am happy to help you and give you lots of information.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. It has been a blessing from the day that I met you. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And again, everyone, we are talking about the probate process from start to finish in reference to the probate clerk. Now, I
Yes.
wanted to interview Sonia because when the probate process begins, we don't have the privilege of calling the judge. That point of contact is always going to be the probate clerk. So you were formerly a probate clerk, which is why I asked you to be here. Can you tell me what does a typical day look like as a
Okay.
probate clerk?
Of course. Okay. So a typical day as being a clerk in a probate office is very busy. Since the first minute you walk in, you log in, you start gathering all your information, all the petitions, making sure you have enough petitions for all the customers that come in. Because again, probate is a very busy topic. Honestly, I didn't even know what was probate when I first started working there,
Wow.
but I've learned so much, and it's so much good information that we need when a person passes away. That, of course, when somebody passes away, you're not even in mind of knowing what to do with all the belongings that this person left. So, yes, a day in a probate office is very busy. You have to make sure you have all your information in hand. I am a note-taking person, so I make sure I have all the answers for everybody who comes in. Of course, sometimes we don't have the information, well, at least I have it, but I can't give it to the person, unfortunately, because I'm not an attorney, I'm just a clerk. But I try my best to help those who need the help. Of course, like I said, very busy. We make sure our petitions are ready. We make sure we have enough. We make sure we are logged in. We're logged in the system because, we usually take about 30 to 40 minutes with each customer when they come in and they're ready to file. So
Oh, wow.
your day, yes, your day goes by really quick because you will at least take about 8 to 10 cases per day. But I try to, if it's a lot of information on that petition, I try to at least enter the important and then go back at the end of the day and enter the rest.
Okay, awesome. So it's you I didn't realize you spend that much time with one person. And I'm glad that you said you didn't know what probate was because I realized a lot of people have no idea what probate is until they have to deal with it.
Of
So for
course.
those of you that are watching, maybe you're new to my channel, maybe this is the first time you've seen anything even about probate. But probate is the process when your loved one passes away, if they have belongings, if they have a will, or if they don't have a will, then you will need to file your case in the county and set up file a petition, I should say, to create a probate file. And
Yes.
so Sonia is that person. If you go to the courthouse, or used to be, I should say, she would be there to assist you. And so once the probate case is filed, Sonia, tell me, what does that look like behind the scenes?
Okay, yes, of course. So once the case is filed, we usually give out a case number to the person that's in front of us. We make sure because they pay filing fees for the petition as well. So on the receipt, we usually highlight the case number and we also highlight the amount they paid for because in questions we always ask, and these are repetitive questions all the time, is how many letters you would like, letters of administration or letters of testamentary. We also ask if they would like to serve somebody. We also, so we also ask like these questions all the time because people tend to think because they're clueless. They're like, okay, I'm just filing, that's it. No, you have to take care of all these other fees as well. So when we give them the receipt, they'll know what they're paying for. Okay, so when we have given them the receipt, that doesn't mean you're done. That doesn't mean you're just gonna wait on a letter for us. That means you have started the process. But once we make a file, it's like a manila folder. Put everything in there, we hole punch it, we send it to the processing clerk at the end of the day.
Okay.
Of course, they have, I wouldn't say, I would be exaggerating if I say thousands, but I would say at least hundreds of files per week.
Okay. All right.
Yes, it's a lot of files. Usually there's 5 processing clerks, and they divide those files between them. When they start working on them, they read everything that I read before because we do kind of like a backup check. First, it comes to me, then it goes to them, then it goes to chambers, and then after chambers, it goes to the judge.
Okay, now what is chambers?
Chambers is the group of legal clerks. They're like paralegals.
Okay.
Okay. The processing clerks are not paralegals. I am not a paralegal, but Chambers has paralegals.
Okay. All right. So you gave me some more questions while you were talking. So people that come into your office, they may or may not have an attorney. So you're dealing with people that may be represented or may not be represented, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. You also mention the letters. Can you talk about that briefly? And I want to say briefly because I know you and I even talked about that we're going to have to do more videos. We can't share everything in this video, but tell me briefly about the letters that you mentioned.
Briefly, just the letters are the letters that you would present to each debtor or any creditor out there or anything. Those are the letters saying, okay, you have now been the assigned administrator from, and these letters are usually signed by the judge. So it just simply says you are now the administrator of this estate for such and such. You're now the administrator signed by judge and sealed. They're sealed by the court. They're $10 each. And we always ask, how many letters would you like, depending on how many assets you have. For example, you have 2 cars, 1 house, you only probably need 3.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So tell me, what are 5 common mistakes, or however many you want to give us, that most people that are going through the probate process make?
Okay. So I would say the most common one, and I'm going to say that the most common one is not listing all heirs.
Okay.
Because when it comes to the petition, you have to be very specific. You have to we actually give you an oath saying that you have listed everybody, that all this information is correct to the best of your knowledge. That's the oath. And then that oath is witnessed by me. I am not a notarized, but I have to, as working for the court, I have to notarize all your paperwork. So I'm not a notary in regardless because I haven't really had the chance to get my notary seal. But when you work at the court as a clerk, you have to notarize all these paperwork in front of the customer because you're being the witness as them, like you're getting all the information. So you have notarized all their paperwork before it goes to the processing clerk. And so, yes, so you have to you have to do an oath if the person is in front of us. Now, if it's an attorney filing and the attorney's customer is not there, we will send out a letter to the attorney saying, your client needs an oath. Please have them to come in.
Okay.
And so, if they're, sorry for interrupting, just something real quick. Because of COVID, a lot of people say, I don't want to go into the office. I want to avoid going in and blah, blah, blah. So we do have an option of taking an oath by video.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yes. And the processing clerk will be in charge of those video oaths, not the intake clerk.
Okay. And when you
Yes.
say,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, when you say acknowledge all the heirs, that means anyone that person thinks will be receiving any of the assets that's entitled.
Okay, so see, that's okay. So all the heirs means the this is how I look at like the next to kin. That's how I look at it, because a lot of people make this mistake that they list everybody who is listed on the testament, and it's not that, because you can have the neighbor listed on the testament, but that's not an heir.
Okay.
So you can have your great cousin listed on your testament, but that's not your immediate heir.
Okay.
Immediate heir are if a spouse is listed, if you're married, a spouse, children. Now it goes in brackets. If you're not married, but you have children, comes your children. If one of your children has passed away, saying that a mother has her child and her child has passed away, but her child had children, so that would be the grandchildren. She will list the grandchildren and goes in brackets from A. I think there's 3 brackets from A, B, and C. It's like your spouse comes first, then your children.
Okay.
After your children, your grandchildren, and then if any cousins are out there, or nieces and nephews.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
All right, so that's the first mistake.
Yes, that they don't list all the heirs.
Thank you.
The second mistake I would say, this is in regards to the petition. The petition can be very confusing because they use a lot of legal terms. And so a lot of people are like, oh, what does this mean? We can only explain to them what the term means, but we cannot tell them what to write. So there is a number 4. There's we call it the paragraph 4 on the standard form of the Georgia petition for filing. And this, the petitions are different from the letters of administration and letters of testimony. They're slightly different, but they will both gain you the same powers. But the petition itself, number 4 is the same. Number 4 is the same question. That paragraph 4 is the same. They usually make a mistake when they don't complete number 4. For some reason, number 4 is very confusing to the customers, because we ask for them to just write in a brief description who are the heirs in a brief description. Like, for example, my mother passed away. She was not married. She had 3 children. Their names are. We just want you to reinstate that you have listed and included all heirs again. So we're not only asking you to list all the heirs with the name, the age, and the address on the page prior to that, which is page 1, but on paragraph 4, which is the second page of that petition, we ask you to reinstate that information again. Again, this is repetitive stuff.
Okay.
Because we want to make sure that you list all heirs and you're not leaving anybody out.
Okay, awesome. All right, so common mistake number 2 is, and I just want to clarify that you worked in Georgia. So you're referring to a Georgia petition. And I guess I need to get some probate clerks for Alabama and Florida to come. Yes. But just want to clarify that you are referencing Georgia. So the mistake is they're not being as thorough as they should be on paragraph 4 on the petition. Okay, what's number 3?
Okay, so number 3, I would say, let me see, because those are the most common mistakes. Number 3 would be that they do not include, like, there's also on the petition, there's also a space where you sign each and every statement, because again, these are legal documents. These are legal documents. You do not sign each statement. You write the statement, like each statement we request information on, there's a line where your signature goes on. Because it's a lot of information, they tend to miss it. Okay. So I do recommend that if you're filing any type of petition, either administration or testamentary or any other type of probate petition, I recommend you to be very careful, and also don't miss any signature spots, because they're very easy to miss, because
Okay.
we put each statement in the same, like the petition itself, I believe, is 8 pages, and they just so much information, they tend to miss the spots. So when we received a petition with not enough signatures, at least, or the important ones at least, because we've had petitions where the customers didn't sign it and we just let it slide through because it's not an important spot, but we do prefer for them to sign every single one. And yes, that's the common mistake, that they don't look careful and they miss a spot where they need to sign.
Awesome. All right. So number 3 is, like you said, missing signatures on certain pages. Now, if you don't have 5 mistakes, I can go to the next question.
Yes, I'm thinking of another one. Yes, it will probably come up to me, but those are the main 3. Wait, one more. Okay, there is on page 3 of that petition. This is only for letters of administration, not testamentary.
Okay.
Letters of administration will give you an option, and there's options in there, again, to read them very careful. There is an option there to publicate or not to publicate. There's letter A, B, or C. A is saying if you want to be granted the powers, if you want to be waived from fees, from annual returns, from all those important information or statements that you have to submit to the court every year, you'll be waived from that, but it requires publication. That's A. B is saying you're not requesting these powers, you don't want to publish, and so it doesn't require a publication fee. And C is saying you do want these powers, but you're not going to be waived from all these statements, annual returns, and all this stuff that the court requests every year. So you have an option. A lot of people tend to be like, but I don't know which one to choose. Which one should I choose? Of course, we can't tell them. I just tell them, do you want to be waived from all this stuff every year from turning into the court and just publish it for a one-time fee? Or do you want to submit records to the court every year and still have the powers, or do you not need powers? There's people that don't need powers, but they still file it anyways. So I just recommend, because a lot of people make mistakes in choosing the wrong one, I recommend to please read it carefully. Look up stuff. Look up, I don't know, I always go to online and look at all the Georgia codes, because you just never know what it means to get powers. Excuse me.
And this is which section again, Sonia?
That is what?
Which section or paragraph did you say this was? Number 3?
This is page 3.
Page 3. Okay.
Page 3 on that petition for only letters of administration.
Awesome. Awesome.
It's going to give you an option. So in the state of Georgia, if you want to publish, there is a fee. I don't know if it varies from county to county, but at least where I was, it was $80. And that would be published in a newspaper for 4 weeks. So you just have to read it carefully. Don't make the mistake of choosing the wrong one, because we did have a lot of people who came back and be like, oh, I asked for powers. What happened? You chose the wrong one.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you. This is such good information. And if you're watching, please make sure you share the video and like and subscribe, because people definitely need this information. This is amazing knowledge. So my next question is, what did you dislike most about being a probate?
Okay. There is a lot of things that we look into, and like at every job, there's something that you're gonna enjoy with passion, and there's stuff that you're not gonna enjoy. Honestly, when it came to reading the testaments, the wills, because there's people who had big wills. You had to go page by page. And I was like, oh my God, just help me focus, because there's things that we missed.
Wow.
And so reading the wills, because you have to read the will, you have to make sure that the person that is filing is the person that the testator left in charge. You have to make sure that the will is specifically it like is the reading wills in period is it could be very sad too, but
Yeah.
it could also be very I wouldn't say like it could be very overwhelming. That's just how I can describe it,
Yeah.
because you have to be very careful making sure as a clerk that you're not missing anything.
Yeah, and I'll say this, that I can imagine that's a huge responsibility that you had, because you're there and you're interacting with people who have lost a loved one, and
Yes.
they're grieving and
Yes.
they're having to go through this process, so I can imagine the weight, that you may have carried on your shoulder, just being there, having to be positive, be in a position where you couldn't help them because they may ask you something that you weren't able to answer because you're not an attorney. And so kudos to you for your service.
Mhm.
Um, and I know from knowing you this short time that you are passionate about the process. And we can tell that because you're here to help me.
Mhm.
So thank you to you. Is there anything else that you would share? For
Honest, yeah, just like you said, I enjoy helping. I enjoy helping. Of course, probate is very interesting, very interesting. When I first went in there, like I said before, I didn't know what it was. But in the period of time that I was there, I learned so much. And I've also considered myself. I spoke because I like to build relationships. And when I saw that the attorney in front of me was very opening, and I tried to like become, like their friend. And that way, if they ever have also any questions or anything like that, is they can come to me. Is very probate is very interesting, and you will learn so much from this topic, this probate subject, because you just know people don't know, they're clueless. And like I said, I learned that having a will is so important because it makes everything so easier.
yes, yes.
There will still be a process behind it, but the process is way easier than when you don't have a will. And
Mm-hmm.
we've had lots of families, unfortunately, that they will argue because of the belongings of this person's belongings who have passed away. And it's sad. It's sad because that's when the case becomes complicated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anything that honestly, anything that it has to do with dealing with helping others, I enjoy. There's not a lot I can say that I disliked, but that was one of the things that is overwhelming. I didn't dislike it, but it's overwhelming because it can cause a lot of like if you don't write down or if you don't notice what the person has listed on that will, me myself, I can make a mistake and then it'll be passed on to the next person behind me. And if I don't point it out, they won't either. So we have to be just very careful about that. Hmm.
Awesome. Yes. So if you're watching this and you do not have a will or a trust in place, you want to do that as soon as possible. I'll say this: I had a client today or this week who is in the process of going through probate, and Sonia was there to help us. And his wife did not have a will in place, and so get a will, do it. I have a referral for you, a list of attorneys that I can refer. If you need those, feel free to reach out to me. Let me see, did I have another question? One last question. You interact with, in your office, Sonia, attorneys, the petitioner, who is, of course, the person that's handling the will, or if they didn't have a will, and
Yeah.
realtors. What does that look like for you?
Okay. Well, we like I said, we get all sorts of customers. Some that don't know what they're filing, some that do know what they're filing. And I deal with lots of attorneys. I deal with lots of realtors. I've also deal with let's see, based on this topic itself, it's just that would be the main people Customers who don't know what they're filing, they're clueless. Customers that do know what they're filing and they come and submit the petition, is completed. I give them an oath and they leave and pay their fees and they're good to go. Customers that don't know what they're doing, they usually ask me, what petition should I file? Of course, I can't tell them. The best thing I do is refer them to either an attorney or somebody that can guide them through this. There is a pro bono clinic that I do also refer them to. Usually that pro bono is very informative and they help them complete it. It's a very short amount of time that they're there with the attorney, but it's free at no cost. So I do tell the people, please take advantage of that. Also, I deal with the attorneys. Attorneys have to know what they're doing, but there's attorneys that still make mistakes.
Yeah.
We keep it shut because we can't tell them, attorney, you're doing this wrong.
Wow.
So we just keep it moving. When the processing clerk notices that the attorney has made a mistake, that's when they send out a letter to them. But we, as an intake clerk, we don't tell them. I do know that sometimes I'm like I said, I build these relationships, and if I say, hey, you're my friend, let me save you some money, because if you go back and you made a mistake, you have to amend, and in the amendment there is money for that.
Yeah.
So you don't want to, but like I said, I try my best to help others and make it smooth when they come in, because again, this is a grieving time. You don't want to make it more complicated than it is.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Sonia.
Okay.
This has been very helpful, talking about the probate process from a perspective from the probate clerk. So thank you again for joining me today. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Again, my name is Wanda Rochelle. I am a licensed realtor. I service Georgia, Florida, and Alabama, and I will see you on the next video.